Welcome to our presentation, Gaming in Education, using games to enhance student engagement and learning performance. My name is Beheshte Abdi or Behi. I'm one of the presenters today. I'm an instructional designer in the Teaching and Learning with Technologies, Office of Instructional Design at Rutgers University. Here is a little bit about my background. I'm a doctoral candidate in instructional technology, and I've been interested in studying how integrating games in education can improve student engagement and performance. So I have worked in this area for several years.
My name is Michael Graydon, but I'm also known as Maka. I'm the second presenter for this session. I'm the Assistant Director for Game Research and Immersive Design, another unit inside the Teaching and Learning with Technology unit at Rutgers. I've also worked with a couple of edtech startups over the years, and I'm part of Quixotic Games, a game design studio with more than 30 published board games. For those of you watching us live, we'd like you to answer our poll questions. We'll come back to them at the end of the presentation during Q&A.
Here are our learning objectives for today's session. We are going to identify the characteristics of well-designed gaming strategies in your course or classroom. Finally, we are going to provide some examples of how to integrate gaming in learning management systems.
We'll examine the research and evidence behind the use of gaming in education and explore the potential of games to improve learning outcomes. So whether you're an educator, a student, or simply somebody interested in the intersection of education and games, we hope this presentation will provide you with valuable insights into the exciting and rapidly evolving world of games in education.
Now we will focus specifically on game-based learning and gamification in education. Knowing the unique benefits and characteristics of can help educators design effective game strategies that enhance student engagement, learning, and performance. Games have been used as a means of entertainment, but are now being used more and more in education, making learning more engaging, interactive, and fun. Understanding the differences between these types of games can help educators choose the most suitable ways to achieve their learning objectives and meet students' needs.
Traditional games can be used to teach or reinforce educational concepts, such as strategy, problem solving, or critical thinking. These games could be board games, card games, digital video games, or even outside games. Serious games, on the other hand, are designed to address real-world problems or challenges with the goal of achieving a specific learning outcome. Serious games can be thought of as a subset of game-based learning.
Now, let's talk about the topic of game-based learning. Did you know that game-based learning is becoming an increasingly popular way to teach and learn? Unlike traditional teaching methods, game-based learning uses games as a way to teach content and assess student progress. Game-based learning utilizes the principles of game design, such as in-game challenges, goals, feedback, and reward, to create engaging and immersive learning experiences. For younger students, there are a wealth of educational games available that can help teach subjects like math, science, and history.
Let's talk about some examples of game-based learning in higher education. One popular approach is to use simulations to help students understand complex systems and real-world scenarios. For an example, a business class might use a simulation to help students understand the supply chain. Another approach is to use role-playing games to help students develop important skills like communication and teamwork. A nursing class could use a role-playing game to help students understand how to work together or how to communicate with patients. Below are a few examples of other real-world games that could be used for game-based learning. I'll talk about Quandary very quickly, which is a game-based learning platform that teaches critical thinking and decision-making skills. In that game, players take on the role of a space captain and make decisions based on ethical dilemmas and real-world scenarios. There are games and activities available for nearly every subject at every grade level. You just have to look for them.
Gamification, on the other hand, refers to the use of game elements such as points, badges, leaderboard, levels, feedback, and challenges in non-game contexts. In fact, gamification is utilizing game mechanics, strategies, and processes to increase individuals' engagement and encourage them toward behaving in certain ways, as well as to motivate them to acquire knowledge and tackle challenges, according to CAP's definition in 2012. For example, a teacher might use a gamified system to reward students for completing assignments or participating in class. Here are some examples of using game mechanics for gamification in higher education. One example is a leaderboard. is a common gamification tool that can be used to encourage healthy competition and motivate students to work harder.
There's a lot to think about, so here's an easier takeaway for you. Gamification uses game-like elements to motivate learners. Game-based learning uses actual games to teach educational content, and serious games are designed specifically for educational or training purposes with a specific learning outcome in mind. Now we're going to talk about some of the benefits and drawbacks of integrating gaming in education. Both game-based learning and gamification show great potential to enhance the learning process and promote student engagement. In the following slides, we'll explore some of the effective game-based learning and gamification strategies and tools that educators can use to create engaging and immersive learning experiences for their students. We will also examine the research and evidence behind the use of game-based learning and gamification and discuss the potential benefits and drawbacks of both.
Studies show that using games as a tool for learning improves the student performance in several ways, such as producing higher quality projects, better learning outcomes, reducing failure rates, and earning higher average score. And also, research shows that game-based learning has the potential to improve the teaching and retention of content because students can take more control over their own learning experience. Game-based learning is active learning. It provides for increased engagement, immediate feedback, as well as opportunities for collaboration and customization through the use of carefully selected games based on the research that has been conducted. For example, Garcia and colleagues in 2020 conducted a systematic literature review on soft skills promoted by game-based learning and found that there are some qualities that will be improved by using games, digital games in education, such as motivation, willingness to learn, competition, and problem-solving skills that were commonly promoted by using games in education. Also, as you can see in many of the studies, communication skills and decision making also has been increased after integrating games in education. Analysis of systematic review and meta-analysis articles in the field of gamified education by Nadi Ravandi and Batuli also in 2022 showed that gamification generally has positive impact on students' academic achievement and performance and improves their higher order cognitive proficiencies such as problem-solving skills. Other studies show that integrating games can enhance learners' mastery of lesson content and engagement during class activities and improves cognitive, emotional, and behavioral engagement. Based on studies that have been conducted by Zainuddin et al. 2020. Let's talk about benefits of integrating gamification in your classroom. The analysis of systematic literature review and meta-analysis using gamification in education has shown that gamification generally has positive impact on student academic achievement and performance and improves higher order cognitive proficiencies such as problem-solving skills. Other studies also has shown that integrating games can enhance learners' mastery of lesson content and engagement during class activities and improves cognitive, emotional, and behavioral engagement. Overall, studies show that gamification has the potential to transform education by making it more engaging, interactive, and fun. It can improve learning outcomes, personalized learning experiences, encourage collaboration, and increase motivation. Additional references are provided here at the end of our presentation if you want to take a look. Gamification is easy to implement and therefore has low costs. It's suitable for making repetitive or boring actions more fun and can simulate healthy competition. However, gamification can be less effective in long run and is not always the right solution, as we will discuss later.
Let's talk about some of the potential drawbacks of using game-based learning in your courses. While it can have a lot of advantages, it can also have some clear disadvantages. For example, there could be limited scope. Games you choose may only cover a specific topic or subject matter and may not fully address all the aspects of your learning objectives. This can result in students not getting a comprehensive understanding of the subject. There can also be a lack of accessibility. Games do not, at this time, have a great track record with addressing accessibility issues. This is slowly changing for the better, and some very large games, such as Last of Us 2, directly address it, but you'll need to keep student accessibility issues in mind when you're choosing a game to use, as there may be various issues that make them not usable. Additionally, not all students will have access to the technology or equipment needed to play certain games, whether that be game consoles, more powerful computers, augmented reality compatible phones, or VR headsets. Cost is also something to keep in mind, as games and game equipment can be expensive, and some schools may not have the budget to purchase or maintain them. And while games are a lot of fun, engaging, and such, they can also be distracting. If your students become focused on the gameplay, they may lose sight of the learning objectives or become disengaged from the lesson. There's also the concern of whether or not the learning they're doing will transfer to other skills. If students are only able to apply what they've learned within the game to the game, then the educational value of the game is limited. And finally, there may also be technical issues within the game, such as glitches or crashes that can disrupt the flow of the lesson and create frustration for both students and teachers.
It is important for educators to carefully consider these potential drawbacks when deciding whether to use games in their teaching. While games can be a powerful tool for engaging students and enhance learning, they should be used thoroughly and with clear learning objectives in mind. Gamification in education has potential drawbacks, so we are going to talk about that in this section that educators should consider before incorporating it into teaching. One of them is overemphasizing on rewards and the concept of pointification. The use of rewards to motivate students can create an overemphasis on external motivators such as points and badges. A student may become more focused on earning points or badges than on the learning itself, leading to a culture in the classrooms that prioritizes instant gratification over learning. And the other drawbacks is that points and badges may not be engaging for all students, and an emphasis on them can result in decreasing participation and a lack of learning outcomes for some students. The other concern is assessment. A student who earns a high score on a game or gamified system may not have a deep understanding of the course content, but instead a deep understanding of how to win at the game or system. The other issue is that the skill and knowledge gained through gamification may not be easily transferable to other contexts or real-world situations. This could limit the educational value of the system. Technical issue also is one of the problems, such as glitches or crashes that cause students to lose points can create frustration for students, leading to a lack of engagement. As we discussed in game-based learning, accessibility concern also is one of the issues. Although we mentioned that gamification is low cost, however, gamification may require the purchase of specialized software or equipment, which can create financial barriers for schools or districts that don't have the budget for such expenses. While gamification can be an effective tool for enhancing a student motivation and engagement, it is important for educators to carefully consider these potential drawbacks and plan accordingly to ensure a successful implementation. So the question is that, can gamification decreases intrinsic motivation? The answer is yes, if overused or used improperly. When we rely too heavily on external rewards such as badges or points, we can create an environment where students are motivated more by rewards than by the learning itself. If gamification is used in a way that does not align with students' interests or preferences, it may fail to motivate them and could even reduce their motivation to engage with their material. For example, if you use leaderboard, students may become demotivated if they feel like they can't catch up to their leaders.
Let's talk now about how we can use gamification to increase intrinsic motivation in students. By creating a game-like environment that is fun and engaging, students may become more interested in the material and more motivated to learn. One way we can help with this is by creating personalized learning paths. Educators can create these paths for students based on their individual interests and learning styles. By allowing students to choose their own learning activities and progress at their own pace, they may feel more ownership over their learning process and become more motivated to learn. Another way to increase motivation is to enhance collaboration and competition. By creating team-based challenges, students may be motivated by the desire to succeed and help their team win, promoting collaboration and healthy competition among those students. You can also integrate storytelling elements into education. Educators can make learning more engaging and immersive for students by creating an emotional connection with the material and making it more meaningful to them. Gamification also provides immediate feedback, which allows the students to see how they're progressing through their learning activities and can help them monitor their own progress, again, helping them to gain a sense of accomplishment and ownership over their learning. And finally, they can use mastery-based learning. Giving students the opportunity to master a concept or skill before moving on to the next level can support mastery-based learning, allowing students to progress again at their own pace and to focus on the areas where they need to improve, increasing their motivation to learn and achieve mastery over the material.
There is a strong connection between what are the characteristics of well-designed gaming strategies in education? According to G 2008, there is a strong connection between designing a good games and designing a good learning experiences for players. This means that incorporating game elements in the classroom can make learning more enjoyable and meaningful for students. This idea is based on constructivism theory, which suggests that knowledge building occurs when players actively engage, explore, and construct knowledge in a personalized learning environment. Other researchers also support this notion. So what are other characteristics of well-designed gaming strategies? Gaming strategies should align with learning objectives and be integrated in a way that enhances learning, enhances engagement, motivation, and performance. They should also incorporate formative assessment opportunities that provide feedback for students on their progress and performance, allowing them to adjust their learning strategies accordingly. The gaming strategies should also allow for collaboration and social interaction among students, promoting teamwork and communication skills. It should also be integrated seamlessly into the learning environment, ensuring that it's easy to use and does not distract from learning objectives. Finally, it should be flexible and adaptive, allowing for modification and adjustment based on student performance and feedback. Educators should continuously evaluate the effectiveness of gaming strategies and adjust as needed to maximize its impact on student learning performance. Any games should be selected or designed based on the ability to meet the learning objectives and promote deeper understanding and retention of the subject matter.
Let's talk about integrating gaming strategies in learning management systems. For game-based learning, you can directly embed HTML5 games into most LMSs. If you have SCORM-compliant games and e-learning resources, they can be imported in most LMSs. But you'll have to speak with your LMS admin to learn more, as there are too many LMSs for us to discuss here.
For gamifying your course or course content, you can create a leaderboard and update it regularly. You can post it in announcement, create quests, allow students to upload avatars and use call signs. Also, you can create rewards badges and points for accomplishments and use a leveling system. Maybe a leveling system can be completing modules in your learning management system, creating rewards for spending points on, and also something that is really important is having clear goals and rules for your games when you are using in learning management system. Here are some examples of badges for courses. The effectiveness of digital badges in the classroom depends on the learning objectives, as we mentioned. The other factors are student population and the type of badges used. Here are some types of digital badges that can be effective in your classroom. So skill-based badges, progression badges, achievement badges, and community badges. Ultimately, the effectiveness of digital badges in the classroom depends on how they are designed and implemented. Badges should be aligned with learning objectives and aligned to provide meaningful recognition for students' accomplishments. They should also be used in conjunction with other forms of feedback and assessments to provide a comprehensive view of student progress and performance.
One of our poll questions was, are you already using games in your classroom? Well, you're already using gamification. Grades that you give out are based on a point system. If you share those grades, you've now got a leaderboard. And if you give out gold stars or anything like that, you're using badging. So we're all already doing it. Here are our references. We're not going to go over them. There's far too many. And we're going to jump over to Q&A time.